Hi, I'm Dave Edwards, and I am back once again with David Allen, the author, creator, and all around good guy of getting things done. Good to talk with you again, David.
Hi, guys. I'm David Allen, and I'm back with Dave Edwards, the gadfly of sort of GTD, interesting poke at me questions, as well as quite a background in broadcasting and et cetera, et cetera. So, hi, Dave. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, well, you're a
Dave.
good sport because you don't. The viewer should know that, like, I don't share a list of questions with you. I just kind of throw a lot of things out here and see what sticks. And that's what makes it a lot of fun. Hey,
Okay.
the last time we talked, which was some time ago, you told me that you and Catherine were getting ready for a trip to Japan. How did that go?
It was fabulous. It was wonderful. We have an old friend there who he's American, but he's lived there for decades and married to a Japanese wife, and he speaks fluent Japanese and is a uh, real kenner of the history, the culture, the crafts, and everything more than a lot of the Japanese, frankly, because he used to be a tour guide in that whole arena. Anyway, so we spent that time with Steve. He hadn't taken a vacation for a while, so we used it as a way to kind of unhook him. And we did a 12-day walking, biking, taxiing, training pilgrimage around the Shikoku Island, which is, one of the early Buddhist sects, from the 400, 500, 600. They didn't build all the temples then, but in the last, and then the next 200 or 300 years, they created 88 temples around the perimeter of that island. And so we were able to visit 40 of them. So it was kind of a meditative walk, a meditative taxi ride, meditative whatever. And to be able to see that whole island was just absolutely fabulous. And the weather was wonderful and perfect. And we loved it. We loved the Japanese culture. We're serious Japanophiles, especially knowing someone who knows that culture. That makes a lot of difference, to be able to have someone who can speak the language, educate us about everywhere we were going, the history of it, and all that stuff. So that was just a very rich experience. And then we had, 4 or 5 days in Kyoto and 3 days in Tokyo. In addition to that, a little bit of business, but mostly staying in nice hotels and loving Japanese food and culture.
I was going
Dave.
to ask you about the food.
Oh, it's always fabulous. We love it. Slurping soba noodles and seafood and a lot of great stuff. We love eating, cooking Japanese, and we love that whole culture. And again, the style, even out in the country, in the most rural kind of areas, and we were in some of those, people are so gracious, and even in the simplest little cafes or whatever, it's so simply done, but so elegantly laid out, and such care and consciousness in terms of service and food and just all kinds of stuff. So I know that's a bit of a positively biased viewpoint because there's lots of downside, I'm sure, to every culture, but we love it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
You used to travel a whole lot more because of GTD and training and working with people. When you travel to different countries, I mean, do you notice any cultural differences in the way people approach work and productivity or even GTD?
not really, because I have a very limited filter, because usually everything I do are already people that are very attracted or interested in what I'm doing. So people who show up, they're already kind of in a context of improve myself, be more productive, reduce stress, etc. And that's universal. That's true in every culture I've been in, where there's a certain level of people that are just so busy and kind of up to here and would love to have a little less stress or whatever. There's some cultures, the more Latin-like cultures called the manana kind of cultures, where it's like, I've done I've done a good bit of keynote speaking in Italy, and oftentimes they say, "Yeah, boy, do we need this because we're Italian." Yeah. So what? Hey, what? Don't bother. What's the bother? What's the problem? And so they say we need this because everybody's dealing with, come on. We're in a 24/7 global world now, and a lot of people think they need to catch up and be caught up with the global world they're all connected to. And they're all, not everybody, but there's a lot of people experiencing what I now call channel creep. Now they've got how many things, not just your email, but you've got Slack, you've got WhatsApp, you've got all kinds of digital information and stuff coming at you that people have allowed in, or need to because of their work and their protocols at work. And so, everybody's kind of just filling up to here. And that's pretty universal. And everybody's trying to work harder and harder to try to catch up. But there's the old personal growth saying that you can never get enough of what you don't really need. What you don't need to do is work harder, and you can never work hard enough. How could you catch up with the world? Come on. The world is fine, by the way. It's just moving so fast. And anybody that wants to try to stay engaged with it, you just can't do it. And as the cognitive scientists have all validated in the last decade or two, your brain needs a rest. You can't be on 24/7. You can't. If you try to do that, you're going to lose cognitive ability. You're going to stress yourself out. You're going to have a feeling of overwhelm. You're going to get all kinds of stuff going on simply because you're not letting your brain do its archive process and rest and integrate all the complexities of life that we all deal with daily. Anyway, it was a long answer to your short question.
David Allen is the author of GTD, Getting Things Done. I get to talk with him periodically. If you have questions for David, post them below or email them to me, daveedwards@outlook.com. Thanks for joining us.